Already made a short covering some adjustments Shakur made in this fight, particularly looking at him reading that level change, but we're going to look more in depth for part 2 of this IQ series. Let's get straight into it. So that level change from Yoshino is useful because when Shakur's throwing out that jab or when he's throwing out that probe, you'll see this pattern repeated. We're going to look at it where he gets underneath or around that jab and he surprises Shakur with some shots, and then Shakur has to adapt defensively to avoid those things and then later on counter them. One of the things he uses to initiate offense, that level change and kind of like slip in and getting his head off the center line. But then also you'll see him lift his foot up kind of like a big cartoon wind up. He's going to take this big step forward. And what's Shakur doing? He's using that lead hand to frame off of him to post on him and measure the distance, keep him off balance. So it's a little bit of a stiff arm. It only lasts for a short amount of time, so it's not super illegal. But I think I like that tool right there. And so he's stepping in, he's controlling that, he's controlling the shoulder, controlling him, but he's also keeping him at range. And so when he's stepping in, he's stopping the momentum, slowing him down, and then he's also keeping him just at a position where he can lean back, not having to worry too much about that shot. And of course, when you're adapting to your opponent's patterns, you got to have multiple adaptations. You can't just do the same thing over and over, because then they'll adapt and then the pattern will repeat. So rather than leaning back like last time, framing and leaning back, what he's going to do here is Yoshino's going to try and step in again. That foot's going to come way off the ground. He's going to try and step in behind a double jab. What does Shakur do? He circles. He circles to that outside, that dominant angle in a southpaw versus orthodox matchup, which means Yoshino can't throw any punches. And here's where you can tell Shakur's measuring and looking for reads. So he's going to tap him with a jab, and then what's he do? Immediately after tapping him with the jab, he leans back and he's looking at him. What's Yoshino doing? He's back in that position he was earlier, where he's like crouched down, low, level changing, moving his head, trying to look for counters. And you'll see he gets in that position to try and land that right hand whenever Shakur's throwing his jab. So Shakur is now expecting those things, and he's already making reads on that. Okay, Yoshino's gonna do a real attack here. He's gonna take that big step and try and close range to land that forward to the body. What does Shakur do? He jumps back just enough to get out of the way, okay? Then he's gonna try and feint the step in so he can disguise one for later. And he gets a reaction on Shakur. What does Shakur do? Again, he jumps back just enough. So these are two small moments, but together I think they represent something that's probably the most important part of Shakur's style. He's never overextending. He's never doing too much. He's always doing just enough. If somebody does a big swing, he leans back, makes them miss by a few centimeters. If they jump in, he jumps back. If he's walking somebody down, he's inching forward, never taking too big of steps or leaps, right? So he embodies that equal and opposite reaction. He's always proportionately sensible in relation to his opponent's action. I think that's one of the things that makes him great, because he's very efficient and always in place, never overextended or off balance. So Yoshino's gonna step in again. Shakur's throwing that jab. What's Yoshino doing? He's level changing, looking for that right hand. But unlike earlier, Shakur is aware that that's coming. So when he's jabbing, he's not just standing there. He's taking those backward steps and he's leaning back to avoid that counter. But the important thing here is rhythm. So when Yoshino throws that shot, notice Yoshino's throwing a combo. And so he misses his shots, and then he does a reset right here where he's going to try and load up on another shot. What Shakur does is breaks his rhythm. He interrupts him on that reset. So he catches him in the middle of trying to start up another combo, right? So it's efficiency. Shakur threw 2 punches. Yoshino threw about like 5 or 6. He threw way more punches than Shakur, but Shakur threw the right punches at the right time. And that's why he won that exchange. That's one thing I talk about when I talk about scoring. Hard and clean punches, not number of punches. And now later on, you see when Yoshino's trying that level change entry, what's happening? He's getting countered coming in. So Shakur is seeing that and he's catching him before he can start anything. So the goal, but here's the important thing, based off that knockdown, the goal becomes to interrupt the opponent's offense, not shut it down entirely, but to give it just enough life so that he can interrupt it when it does inevitably start. That was damned if you do and damned if you don't. If Yoshino doesn't want to get countered, he's working with a limited set of tools, so he has to put his hands in his pocket and lower his output, start backing up. But when he does that, this is what it looks like. Shakur starts blasting through his high guard. He puts up that high guard and Shakur just annihilates it. So that could open up opportunities, or it could bring the ferocity out of Shakur like we just saw, where he starts walking him down and bashing through the guard. So He's damned if you do, because if he comes forward, he's gonna get dropped, he's gonna get countered, because he really only has like 1 or 2 entries. But if he backs up, he gets beat up. We'll probably do a part 3, and then we'll prep for that Edwin De Los Santos fight, and maybe I'll cover Edwin De Los Santos. I don't know, depends on how I feel watching the fight I'm gonna look at. And then UFC, and we'll go from there. Immortality Serum out.